Good evening. How is everyone this evening? Saturday. Hi everyone, how are you? Good evening. It's me, New York vocalist Benita Charles, for another episode of Singing Tips. I hope everyone is having a great weekend. I hope that you're enjoying your nice. It's still springtime, although, well, it felt like summer. Now it's kind of going back to spring, but I hope you're enjoying it, wherever you are, and whatever the condition, the weather is where you are. I hope you're enjoying it. I see I have a couple of people joining me. How are you this evening? Yes, it's been a couple of weeks. Yeah, I didn't do last week because I had a recording session, and after the session I was a little I was gonna do it, and I was kind of tired, so sorry I missed last week. I hope that everything is going well for you. Everything is going well for me. Back for the last singing tip of the image section. So we have been counting them down in the show part, and this is the last episode of the show part. The image section closes out the show part, and we're in our last tip. Wow, it took a while, but we're here. How is everyone tonight? I'm doing good, and yeah, so we're here. So I guess you're wondering, so what would be the last tip of the image section? Take a wild guess, if you will. The most important. Good evening. Hi, how are you? Good to see you, Selva. Is it Selva? Hi, thank you. Wow, thanks for the wonderful reaction there. Nice hearts there. Thank you. So so what we're talking about is the last tip of the image section. So if you have been following me, hi Tim, thanks for joining tonight. We are on the last tip of the image section. Now, if you've been following me, you know we've been talking about your image for the last few weeks, and your image consists of your appearance, your communication, and your behavior. So we've been talking about your behavior for the last few weeks, and we're in our last tip of the image section. And take a wild guess, because I feel like this tip is one of the most important tips ever. I mean, it's more important than I think any other tip that I have talked about and I will talk about, because this tip affects your life, and this applies to everyone, whether you're a singer, an artist, a musician, a writer, a preacher, a speaker, a coach, whatever your profession is. This tip is the most important tip of all times. But before we go into that, for those of you who are new to singing tips, my name is Benita Charles, and every week I give singing tips to beginner singers to help them become professional. We've discussed everything from your talent to your live performance, your original music, and we're talking about your image. Now, the way I designed this show was based on a movie that I talk about every week. I've been talking about this movie for a year, but the movie really left an impact on me. Thanks so much for the hearts. I really appreciate it. And that is the story of James Brown, Get On Up. And if you haven't seen this movie as much as I've been talking about it, you need to see it. It's a wonderful movie. The gentleman who portrayed James Brown, I felt like I was watching James Brown. He was so good. I think it's Chadwick Boseman. And Dan Aykroyd was in it, Viola Davis, who else? Octavia Spencer, Jill Scott. It's an all-star cast. But the point of the movie that really stuck out with me was James Brown. He was considered the godfather of entertainment. I mean, he was an all-around dancer, singer, ultimate entertainer. But he wanted to break out into the business part of it, and so he wanted to produce his own show. And his manager told him, look, this is show business. You take care of the show part, and I'll take care of the business. And James Brown said, no, I'm going to do both. And that's exactly what he did. So that sparked something in me with singing tips to design the show part and the business part. Now, we've been in the show part for almost a year, well, over a year. And this is the last tip of the show part. And then we move into the business part. But we're still in the show part for the final tip. Now, last time we met, we talked about self-confidence, which was from the outside in. So you can, in terms of your self-confidence, I have my notes here. I have always look your best, because when you look good, you feel good. Act the part. Stand up straight, sit up tall, look people in the eye, be deliberate, and know your stuff. Because when you're confident in what you're doing, it makes you confident in general. So the flip side to that is this week we're talking about self-image and self-esteem. And the reason why I said that this tip is more important than any other tip, because self-esteem is how you feel about yourself. It's from the inside out. And your self-esteem has an adverse effect on every aspect of your life. So if you have great self-esteem, you feel good about yourself, your life will go one way. But if you have low self-esteem and you don't feel good about yourself, and you put yourself down, and you have a negative attitude towards yourself, it affects how you relate to the world. It affects how you relate to people around you. It affects your career. It affects everything. So that's why I said this tip is it is the most important tip, because it's about how you feel about yourself. I am everything because of Jesus. Exactly. And do you remember this? Now, this is an old saying. You may not remember this, but they said God didn't create any junk. But see, that's the beautiful thing about God, is God made you a worthy human being. But sometimes in people's lives, some things happen and they miss that message, and they don't feel good within themselves. And that's what, this tip is all about, in terms of feeling good within yourself. Now I have some notes here. So I have a quote. It says, self-esteem is the reputation we acquire with ourselves. And that's by Nathaniel Brandon. So there's a Wikipedia said that self-image is the idea one has of one's ability, appearance, and personality. And so you said, I have everything because of Jesus, and I lack nothing. That's beautiful, awesome. And so self-esteem reflects a person's overall subjective emotional evaluation of his or own worth. It is important because it shows ourselves how we view the way we are and our sense of personal value. It affects the way you are in the world and the way we act towards others. Now, unlike self-confidence, which is kind of like the outside in the sense of you can do certain things to boost your self-confidence, self-esteem is from within. And a lot of things that has shaped your self-esteem is your childhood, your upbringing, your experiences at work. Sometimes you can have some negative experiences at work that can kind of, if you have a low self-esteem, it can make it even worse. Experiences you had in school, college, society, culture, your religion, your race. A lot of times there may be some issues with race relations and that kind of thing. So certain negative things that can happen in your life can also have an effect on your self-esteem. So I have, when it comes to self-esteem, I mean, it's really a complicated issue, and it's not something that I have a few little tips here, but self-esteem really is deep, and it can be a long process in terms of if you want to change yourself, if you want to improve it based on your experiences. As is it Selva, as he said that, he said he's everything with Jesus and he lacks nothing. I mean, that's one thing. When you embrace a form of religion or your beliefs, that can really help your self-esteem, but I have 5 ways to improve your self-esteem if that's something that you want to improve, or something that so first I have love yourself. So be kind to yourself as you are to others. Sometimes, some people are better to other people than they are to themselves. So you have to kind of remember that too. You got to treat yourself as good too. You can't just treat everybody else good and don't treat yourself good. Your wife died 2 years ago. No children though, alone, yet I am very blessed. Well, yeah, I'm so sorry to hear about your wife. And that's wonderful that you have such a positive attitude considering what happened in your life. So that's really beautiful, and I'm glad that you feel like you're blessed. That's beautiful. I have accept yourself for who you are. Don't try to be someone else. Be yourself, and be comfortable in yourself. And that's not an easy thing, and I don't want to make light of this particular tip, because this tip goes deep. And sometimes, depending on your experience, depending on what happened in your life, you may need extra help to help you through certain things. So these tips that I have are they're helpful, but I don't want to make light of if someone's going through a difficult time. Sometimes you might need extra help. But I have for yourself, treat yourself to something nice, like for instance, a nice bubble bath, a nice long walk on the beach, just something. And it doesn't have to cost a lot of money, but just something that just kind of makes you feel special, whatever that is for you, that makes you feel special. But sometimes you got to remember to do that for yourself. Just love yourself, be good to yourself. I don't have this written, but be your own best friend. Sometimes, like I said, we're better to other people than we are to ourselves, but it's very important, because if you're a mother, if you're someone that look after someone, you got to take care of yourself first before you can take care of anyone else, or you won't be any good for anyone else. So that's kind of what that point. And the second thing I have is take care of yourself. Make sure you maintain good health, a healthy lifestyle, because your health is number one. You can't do anything if you're sick. That means eating right, exercising, getting proper rest, drinking lots of water, you know what the right things is to do. Because sometimes when we eat that junk food, or we don't exercise like we should, we know we should, but we don't. But it's so important. And another thing is, your body will let you know, because when your body breaks down, sometimes there's nothing else you can do. So why not just try to live a healthy lifestyle before your body lets you know, I'm not taking it, I'm not having it. And you don't want that to happen. The third thing I have is give yourself a break. Practice. Now this is something that I have to do for myself, because I have written speeches about this, and I have talked about, I have an inner critic that's very negative and weighs me down sometimes, but I have practiced positive self-talk. Build yourself up, because it's nothing worse than constantly beating yourself up. It doesn't help you, and it doesn't make you feel good. It definitely doesn't help your self-esteem. So you know, try to if like for me, what I do is when the negative thing starts to happen, I always try to counter it with something positive. And I also try to do positive affirmations. That's been helping a lot with that. Forgive yourself for your mistakes. Sometimes we beat ourselves up over and over and over, and it doesn't do any good. It doesn't help your self-esteem, and it doesn't change the situation. So I have forgive yourself for your mistakes. Learn from them, which is important, because you know, when you make a mistake, you can look back and see, oh, you know, maybe I'll try this again, or maybe I'll try it this way, and then move on. You know, if you keep dwelling over your mistakes and beating yourself up, it doesn't make you feel good, and it definitely doesn't help your self-esteem. And I have, the fourth thing I have is, so I have 5 things. Oops, sorry about that. So the fourth thing I have is schedule some me time, which is, you know, take some time out to self-reflect, relax, and think about. Now I have ideally maybe 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes in the evening. So in the morning time, it would be to think about your day, you know, planning your day and thinking about what you have ahead. And then the evening would be unwinding and, you know, reflecting on the day, and, you know, think about the things you learned, think about the things you want to, you know, that you accomplished, and be grateful. You know, maybe some gratitude, maybe in the morning your gratitude, or whatever, however you want to do it. But just take a little time to yourself, and especially if you have a family, if you have obligations, it's always good to give that time for yourself first, and then, you know, do what you have to do if you can. And then number 5, I have focus on your strengths, your gifts, your talents, because this is what makes you unique. So you're going to whatever it is you are good at, you're going to study it, you're going to enhance it, you're going to, because that's going to help boost your confidence and your self-esteem. You know, when you know what you're doing and you're good at it, there's nothing better, a better feeling than knowing your stuff and knowing your, and I had kind of had that in the other tip with self-confidence, but I think it also helps with your self-esteem too. If you focus on what you're good at, focus on your strengths, focus on your talents, that's only going to make you feel better. So as I said, you know, these are just a few things. I mean, you can research, go online, because there's a lot of articles on this, and I'm sure there's other things that you can do, but these are the things I just kind of have a quick, you know, a few little things, but of course there's more. And as I said before, with self-esteem, you know, sometimes depending on your experience, and maybe write them. Oh, a journal, Tim, that's a great idea, a journal. And that you could do that during your me time, when you're taking your time, you know, reflecting, your reflection time. If you want to pray, you want to meditate, whatever it is you want to do, journaling would be an awesome thing to do during that time as well. Thank you, Tim, for that. That's a very good point, because sometimes with journaling, it really helps to get your feelings out. And, you know, sometimes to get it out of your head and just write it out, it just kind of, it's therapeutic, you know, it's refreshing just to kind of get that out. So that's a very good point as well. And I would say in your me time, you could do your journaling as well. So yeah, that's really great. So I hope that these tips was helpful. But as I said, you know, if things are very severe, you had a traumatic experience, and you know that's affected your life, I say get some help, talk to someone, because your self-esteem is the most important thing, because that affects every aspect of your life. That affects how you do everything that affects how you relate to people, that affects how you raise your family, that affects your career, your money, how you manage your money or don't manage your money. It just affects everything. So it is, I think I would say the most important tip out of everything is raising your self-esteem if it's low, and maintaining it if it's not. But and because we're talking about image, and this is self-image, and if you don't have yourself together, no other aspect of your life is going to work. So that's why I said I feel like this is the most important tip of all, because this is from the inside out, and this affects every aspect of your life. So I hope that this was helpful. If this was helpful, please let me know. But so just to give you a recap of what I said: love yourself, be kind to yourself, and accept yourself for who you are. Don't try to be someone else. Don't compare yourself to someone else. Be you. Be the best you can be. Treat yourself to something nice, something that you like. It doesn't have to cost money, but just something that you feel good about. Take care of yourself. Take care of your health. That's number one. If you're not healthy, you can't do anything in life. Your health is number one, and sometimes money can't even buy. Some people could be so sick they're rich, but they can't even fix it. And that's why it's good to practice healthy lifestyle now before you have any problems, because you don't want your body to let you know, because a lot of times when your body lets you know, it's kind of too late. You've let it go too long. So get your proper rest, eat right, exercise, all the things you're supposed to do it. Drink water, lots of water, hydrate yourself, take care of yourself. Give yourself a break. Don't beat yourself up. If you make a mistake, learn from that mistake. And oh, thanks, Tim. I'm glad it was helpful. Yeah, learn from your mistakes. Practice positive self-talk. Affirmations are great. Forgive yourself. You learn from your mistakes and move on. Schedule the me time, and as Tim said, you journal during that time. You can meditate, you can pray, reflect on the day ahead in the morning, and in the evening, reflect on that day. And when you're journaling, also think about gratitude. What are you grateful for? Because a lot of times when you really think about what you're grateful for, it makes you feel better, because you realize you're blessed. Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad that this was helpful to you. Focus on your strengths is the last point that I want to make. Is you are unique. Whatever you bring to this world, you have a gift and a talent, and you need to maximize that, and you need to hone that, make it better, share it with the world. And I have be good to yourself. You are enough, and you are special. So I had some quotes that I wanted to share with you. I thought were good. Sorry. So the first quote is Henry Ford, and it's, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So think about that one. So if you have a negative self-image of yourself, and you're saying negative things to yourself, Henry Ford said, you're right. So that goes the opposite too. So if you have a positive self-image and you're saying positive things to yourself, I'm capable, I'm smart, I'm whatever. He said, you're right. So Dr. Shalisha Thompson, she has, the most harmful beliefs you can have are your self-limiting beliefs. Brian Tracy says, no, never say anything about yourself you don't want to come true. So I like that quote because it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Sometimes if you say negative things about yourself. Oh, thank you so much for your compliment. I like this quote by Marilyn Monroe. She says, wanting to be someone else is a waste of the person you are. I love that quote because, because it's sort of like what I was saying before about be yourself, don't try to be someone else. And Eleanor Roosevelt had a quote that says, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. And I really like that quote because it kind of like puts the power back in your hands. If someone is dogging you out and you're allowing it, it's kind of like you're allowing it to happen, as opposed to you're kind of like playing the victim. But really, no one can do that without you, consenting to it. And so I like that quote in that sense. So I hope this was helpful to you. And that's going to do it for me. That's going to do it for the image section. So we're going to do the next show is going to be a recap of the image section. So we'll go over all of the things that we learned in the image section. So image consists of your appearance, your communication, and your behavior. So all of the tips that we've been talking about the last few weeks has been about your behavior. So to me, this is the most important tip of them all, and that is, improving your self-esteem if it's low, maintaining it if it's high. But your self-esteem is the most important tip because that determines how your life goes. That determines how good or how bad your life goes. So I hope that you realize that you are special. You bring something to the world. You have a gift, and you deserve happiness. You deserve love. You deserve success. You deserve to be here. You are enough. And I'm saying all this to you that I need to say it to myself. So this is something that I'm going to review for myself, because sometimes we forget. Sometimes in this life things happen in our lives and we forget that. But Selva made a point about God. Whatever you believe, I believe in God, and God brought us here for a reason. And I like that old saying that says God didn't make no junk. We are not junk. We are here. We are special, and we bring something to this world. So everyone is unique. We may have the same gifts in a sense. You may be a singer, I'm a singer, you may be a writer or whatever, but we all have a uniqueness about that gift. So we are all special, and don't forget that. Don't ever forget that. And I think that if you don't forget that, then you will take care of yourself. You will do the things you need to do to make you a better person. So yeah, I really believe that. So thank you so much for listening. I hope that this tip was helpful to you. And the most important image is your self-image. So let's just maintain it, make it special. And so that's what it's all about. Be good to yourself. You are enough and you are special. So join me again for another episode of Singing Tips next time. I'm going to put this on my blog. So also on YouTube. The video will be on YouTube. I have a blog. So my notes, I'll write them up on my blog. And you can go to Instagram, BCM Sings. Click on the link in the bio and it takes you to the Singing Tips blog. YouTube, you can go to my YouTube channel. And oh great, I'm glad that it's helpful. Oh, thanks so much, Tim, really appreciate it. Yeah, go to YouTube for the videos. All my singing tips are on my YouTube channel, and I have a playlist called Singing Tips. So, oh hi Ron, thanks for joining. Just about to wrap up so you can catch the replay where we're talking about self-image, the most important tip of all. But yeah, so go to YouTube and you can look at the videos there. And also I have a Facebook group called the Born to Sing Society. So on that group, I put like a lot of the tips there, and motivational things, and then also friends who are doing things. I post their happenings and events and everything. So it's the Born to Sing Society. bit.ly/born to sing 17, or just type in, go to Facebook groups, the Born to Sing Society, and feel free to join. It's for all artists of all levels, and you know, I try to, if I see people doing stuff, I try to post that, and then of course I put my singing tips blogs and stuff like that. So I want to thank you guys so much for hanging in there with me and just being here with me, because it's been a whole year of singing tips and you're still with me, so I really appreciate it. This is the last tips of the show part, so we are finally, oh yes, exactly, it is, I think I would say the most important tip ever, because it affects your whole life. It affects how you do things, it affects how you relate to people, so it affects every aspect of your life, and it applies to everyone, not just singers, but it applies to everyone. So I hope that this was helpful, and so yeah, so this closes out the show part. So we had your talent, your live performance, your original music, and your image. So this was the last tip of the image section, and we are going into the business part. So thank you guys so much for hanging in there with me this past year. Thank you so much. I hope that these tips have been helpful to you, and I will see you next time on Singing Tips. Oh, my aunt, hi auntie, I'm just about to close. Okay, you know what? So I had some really great people just join, so just do a quick recap. We're talking about, this is the last tip of the image section, and I feel like this tip is the most important tip of all singing tips that I've ever given, and it's all about your self-image. Last time we talked about your self-confidence, but this time, and that's from the outside in, but this tip we're talking about, oh bye Selva, we're talking about your self-esteem, which is the inside out. So I just had a few tips that to help with your self-esteem if that's something that you struggle with. I know for me, just to be transparent, that's something that I struggle with, and so these tips are helpful in terms of wanting to improve your self-esteem. So the first thing is love yourself. Be kind to yourself, just as kind as you are to others. Be kind to yourself. Accept yourself for who you are. Treat yourself to something nice. It doesn't have to cost anything. It could be a bubble bath. It could be, you know, walk on the beach. Just something that boosts your spirits. Listening to beautiful music sometimes helps boost your spirits. Number 2, take care of yourself. Live a healthy lifestyle, and we all know what that means. That means eating the right things. That means exercising. It means getting enough rest, drinking water, just making sure you're healthy, because if you, hi Shaki, thanks so much for joining. If you are healthy, your health is number 1. You can't do anything in this world without being healthy. Number 3, give yourself a break. If you make a mistake, learn from that mistake, but don't keep dwelling on it. But think about the lesson and move on. And then I have also practice positive self-talk to yourself, because I've written speeches about it. I've talked about it. I have the worst inner critic in the world, and one of the things that's been really helping me with that is positive affirmations, positive self-talk. And then when the negative criticism, I call it my saboteur. When my saboteur rears its ugly head, I try to just say something positive after the negativity, and that helps too. Schedule some me time every day. Like I said, 10 minutes in the morning before you wake, or not before you wake, but you know, when you first wake up. And then in the evening, 10 minutes before you go to bed. You know, in the morning you might want to think about your day. You might want to just center yourself. And in the evening, you might want to reflect on your day. And Tim had a good suggestion in terms of journaling, because journaling is really great, like in terms of getting your feelings out and just working through some things. And you know, sometimes you can look back over your journal and just see your, see the growth, see what's going on. And also have focus on your strengths and your gifts, because you know how sometimes you think about, oh, I need to work on this, and you work on what you're not good at. But focus on your strengths, focus on your talents, because this is, one of the things I think that can really boost your confidence and your self-esteem is when you are a master at something, and there's something that you're good at and something that is a natural ability, and just make it better. It can't help but boost your self-esteem. So that's what I have today about self-esteem. And to me, it's the most important tip, because when you have a positive self-esteem and when you feel good about yourself, the world is a much better place. So I want to close one of the quotes that I said earlier. To me, I'm going to end it with this quote: wanting to be someone else is a waste of a person you are. And that's from Marilyn Monroe. I thought that was such a nice quote. But so anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me for Singing Tips. This was the last Singing Tips of the show part. In the image section, your self-image. So that is the final tip of the show part. Thanks for hanging in with me for this past year for the whole show part. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And thanks again for joining me for Singing Tips.